Hello students, welcome to the session 4 and we'll be starting our part 3 of our session 4, right? In the first two parts, in the part 1 and the part 2, we have discussed economy and now we'll be discussing our polity discussion, right? Okay, so in this I have a few legislations that I have figured out that I will discuss with you. Starting with the important and controversial one, National Medical Commission Bill, right? So National Medical Commission Bill, it repeals the earlier act, that is Indian Medical Council Act 1956. So an institution it set up, Indian Medical Commission NMC, and within 3 years after the passage of the bill, the state government will set up the state medical councils at the state level. Okay, so few of the provisions of the bill, first is the bill proposes to unify the testing at the exit from the MBBS core, that is having a testing exam at the, not at the entrance, apart from the entrance, but at the exit to check the quality status. Achha, why the need of this repealment has come? Many of the committee that we'll see, many of the committees have recommended to repeal this particular act because the Medical Council of India, which was earlier an institute, we'll discuss that also, it has failed to live up to the expectations with respect to the health standards in India, with respect to the teaching quality, with respect to the quality, the quantity, both aspects, right? So second, the bill proposes that a single next national exit test will be conducted across the, replacing the final year MBBS exam. The same thing is that, and scores, scores allowed to allocate PG seats as well. It will allow the medical graduates to start the medical practice, seek admission to PG courses, and screen foreign medical graduates who want practice in the India. Okay. So what were the problems with the, for example, they are comparing Medical Council of India and National Medical Commission. We have more differences for you also. So currently the protest is going on. Again, I told you this is a controversial bill. So hundreds of doctors across the country are protesting against the proposed NMC bill seeks to dissolve the Medical Council of India. One of the main responsibility of MCI was to regulate the medical education in the country. Okay. And the, for example, this is the same thing that we've discussed. There are very details that we want to discuss. So NMC is proposed to have 29 members, of which 20 will be nominated and 9 will be elected. 29 members in the NMC. It is in contrast to the Medical Council of India, where majority of the members were elected. And whenever the election comes, then the expertise are given the second hand and the politics becomes the first hand. And that was the problem with the MCA. It has become a lot of politicized body because of the elections being taking place. And though it is a body that regulates the medical education in India, that is why it was believed that this body should not have a majority of the elected member. Rather, it should have a majority of appointed members or nominated members. Right? We have discussed that. Apart from that, the bill introduces the Medical Commission, International Medical Commission will have the 4 autonomous boards. First is Undergraduate Medical Education Board. Second is, from the name itself, you can see formulate the standards of education of undergraduate. Then a postgraduate. Next, a Medical Assessment and the Rating Board. It will take up the case of the quantity aspect. That is, grant the permission to establish the new colleges, start new post-graduation courses and all these things. So it will take care of the quantity and it will take care of the quality, ethics and the Medical Registration Board. So regulate the professional and the ethical conduct, maintains the national register of all national practitioners. So it will consider the quality aspect. One of the reports of WHO says that many of the Indian medical practitioners are quacks. They are not qualified, they are not licensed, and that is the problem. In fact, in the corona crisis, we are facing the shortage of the human resource. All our healthcare stands exposed, all our healthcare infrastructure stand exposed in the face of the coronavirus, right? Some of the difference between those. So member, Medical Commission more than 100 plus, tenure 5 years. Proposed National Medical Commission will have 25 members of tenure 4 years. Appointment, I told 70% were elected and their majority are nominated. Okay. So this much is important. Quorum is not important. This is not important for our preliminary perspective. In fact, this bill is not relevant till it passes, right? Whatever existing things are there, that becomes important. For example, National Medical Commission, Medical Council of India, this becomes important. Okay. So we have done this. A uniform national, Eligibility cum entrance text for admission of will be regulated under the act. So NEET will come under this particular NMC. It will regulate that also. NMC may grant a limited license to certain mid-level practitioners connected with the modern medical professional to practice the medicine. The bridge courses, and that have become a point of contention. The doctors, normal doctors are saying, how can you provide the same license to what we are prescribing? How can you provide the same license to the people who have not done the professional courses? And that is where one of the point of contention is there, right? Next is National Medical Council of India. So it's a statutory body established under the Indian Medical Council Act. So it regulates the standard of the medical education in India. It provides the permission to start colleges, courses, and increase the number of seats. It regulates the standard of professional conduct, such as registration of doctor and all these things. However, it has not done the task it was supposed to do in a very professional manner. It has not done. In fact, one of the tainted chairman of this body was re-elected, so as to say, and that created a bit of you can say moral conundrum, because he is elected, right, but he is corrupt. And that is why these bodies, especially the technical bodies, should be headed and comprised of majority of the people from the technical background. So major committee associated with this is Ranjit Rai committee. It recommended the structural refiguring of the Medical Council of India, suggested the formation of the Medical Commission of India. Apart from Ranjit Rai committee, many other committees such as Lodha panel and Arvind Pangaria have previously suggested the scrapping of the Medical Council of India. Okay. Next bill next act, in fact, we're going to discuss is Muslim Women Protection of Rights of the Marriage Act. Okay. So it will replace the 1986 Muslim Women Protection of the Rights on the Divorce Act enacted after Shah Bano case. So after Shah Bano case, an act came by. That act name was 1986 Muslim Women Protection of the Rights on Divorce Act, right? So the provisions of the act is it invalidates the practice of the instant triple talaq, that is talaq-e-biddat, as in void and illegal. So it says that if one says talaq, 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 then it becomes a illegal practice, even in fact punishable to as a criminal offense with imprisonment up to 3 years and fine. Okay, so it is an act of empowering women. In fact, a Supreme Court in a earlier judgment has made triple talaq constitutionally void practice, and building upon that, the government has come up with this particular act. Okay. Next is, this much is important from that particular act. I don't think that is too much questions will be asked on that, right? Just to remind you that in the Shah Bano case, the first act came, and the Sharia Bano case, the second judgment of the Supreme Court has come. Sharia Bano case. Okay. Next act we're going to discuss is Transgender Person Protection of the Rights Act. So the bill defines a transgender person rights. A person would have the right to choose, identify as a man, woman, and transgender. However, there are some problems with the bill also. First, we will discuss some of the provisions. First provision is against the discrimination. So the bill prohibits discrimination against a transgender person in the area such as education, employment. So there cannot be any discrimination against the transgender people. So it says that no government, the private entity can discriminate a transgender person. For example, you come out in the public that I am a transgender. Then the private company, if it removes you, it will be punished. It will be unbooked. So every transgender shall have the right to reside and included in his household. Because many a time, if you tell your family that I am a transgender, they remove you from your household. So they have given the right to reside in their household. Thus, it similarly to enforce that, they have provision of penalty and the punishment. Other provisions, so they have set up an NCT, National Council for Transgenders, to be constituted and headed by the Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, right? This is the controversial aspect. In fact, both of the aspect on which civil society members or the transgender activists are saying that that is there the problem is. For example, the bill empower the district magistrate to correct the correctness of the application of the transgender. So the DM are given the power to provide a certificate or to provide the certificate to the transgender. And that is where they say that that's a problem. That is the contentious act, the issues with that. First, the contentious provision that criminalizes the begging by the transgender has been removed from the bill. Okay. Second, the bill has not provided for the self-identification of the right as promised in the Nalsa judgment. So Supreme Court in 2004 has come up with a NALSA judgment. It is called a third gender judgment also, in which Supreme Court has said that it is not mandatory to fulfill only two gender, male or female. There should also be an option of the third gender. So the bill has not provided the idea of self-identification, which was there in the NALSA judgment. So bill does not provide for any reservations. So the transgender activists were saying that we are one of the most vulnerable communities in the society, and the bill should have provided some provision for the reservations to them as well, right? As directed by the Supreme Court in the NALSA judgment also. But these provisions have not been provided. So, right? Some of the responses of the community are, for example, they have set up an NCT. So they said that there should be, NCT is just a figurative body. They wanted some commission on the basis of NCST, NCSC. They wanted some empowered commission, a statutory recognition, a commission headed by an independent body to see whether the measures or welfare measures are taken properly or not. Just like we have institutions for SCs, STs, and backward class, right? So other provisions you can see that lack of enforceability is there, dilutes the provision. So community has come up with different problems with the idea of the act. For example, certificate of the identity can be obtained at the DM's office, and revised certificate is to be obtained if sex is changed. So they say that it shows the provisions impinging upon the right to self-discrimination. Fear it will lead to bureaucratic discrimination. So ultimately, many of the protesters, even in fact till point, they say that many of the provisions of the act that ignore the real issue faced by the community and does not reflect the NALSA judgment of the 2014. Rest you can see. Next is Arbitration and the Conciliation Act. So basically, arbitration is a process where the two parties go for out of court settlement under an arbiter. So there is one person, third party is there. On the static level, you should revise your difference between conciliation, arbitration, mediation, right? So these certain differences between this ADR, alternative dispute redressal mechanism. So you should revise those things on your own end. We're discussing the act here. So basically, the process of arbitration in India currently was ad hoc. It was not institutionalized. So this particular act provides an institutionalized structure to the process of arbitration. What are the objectives? So objectives, to de-burden the judiciary. So the burden on the judiciary has to be removed. Provide an easy remedy, ease of doing business, right? Promoting ease of doing business, promoting ease of justice. Ease of getting justice is also getting promoted. So the background of it amends the Arbitration and Conciliation of 1996 to deal with the domestic and the international arbitration provision. As I told you, the institutionalization process. The independent body called Arbitration Council of India will be set up for the promotion of alternative dispute redressal mechanism, grading arbitral institutions, maintaining the depository of the arbitral judgments, and uniform professional standards. Right? So appointment of the arbitrator will now be done by the Supreme Court designated arbitral institution. So now more institutionalized thing will be there. The arbitrators, the third party arbitrators will be more professional. They will be, the registry will be maintained, their database will be maintained, and from there the name will be given to the parties. It seeks to remove the time restrictions for the international commercial arbitration. It seeks the completion of the written submission to be completed within 6 months of the appointment of the arbitrator. Earlier, there was no time limit. So, doing the time-bounded manner, doing the things in a time-bounded manner. Because one of the problem in the India is the contract enforcement. Contract enforcement is one of the problems in the India's ease of doing business cycle. So, if the contract enforcement is done well, then this particular, and one of the ways to improve the contract enforcement in the ease of doing business is by ADR, that is alternate dispute resolution settlement. Okay, right? So that is the same thing. Next thing, very important act. So Consumer Protection Act of 2019. So it will replace the Consumer Protection Act 1986. The importance, it is not an amendment act of 1986 act. In fact, they have repealed the whole act and they have made a new act itself. Features, the customer has been defined, consumer, right? So it defines the consumer right. It protects the liability. Product liability means liability of the product manufacturer service to the seller to compensate a product for the harm or injury caused by the defective goods and the deficient service. Now you tell me why this new act has come. In you remember 1986, right? So from 1986, many of the realities of the India has changed. E-com in 1991, LPG reforms, service sector, e-commerce, right? Many of the frauds, the cyber frauds have increased. So that is why we need a new Consumer Protection Act to protect the consumer in the new generation, the new problems that they are facing, which is not covered by the earlier act. Okay, so one of the authority that has been set up, Central Consumer Protection Authority, right? This is the new authority set up, will be set up to promote, protect and enforce consumer rights. It can issue safety notice for the goods and services, order refunds, recall goods and rules against the misleading advertisement. It will have an investigation wing. So it is provided with some teeth. Next is Consumer Dispute Resolution Committees will be set up at the district, state and the national level for adjudicating consumer complaints. I'm sorry, I am saying customer again, it's consumer. Consumer Protection Council will be established at the district, state level to render advice on the customer protection. So there is some extra institutions have been created for consumer protection. Some of the problems that have been identified with the act these are the main centric, but still that act does not specify whom the Customer Protection Council will advise. They will advise, but to whom? There are many institutions that have been set up. In fact, one of the problem the consumer will face, that who to approach. They have set up a multiple institutions. Act does not specify that the Consumer Dispute Resolution Commission will comprise a judicial member or not. Okay. So one of the changes in the provision, let's say. So first of all, you see here. So there was a 3-tier system earlier. Earlier it was there 3 system: district, state, and the national level. So they have increased the limit. So if your amount of the dispute is more than 10 lakh, then crore, then now you go to the national level. Earlier it was more than 1 crore. So the limits have been changed, right? So earlier district level was confined up to 2 lakh, 20 lakh. Now it is increased to 1 crore, right? So earlier there was no provision for the consumer can seek the compensation or harm caused by the product or services. Earlier it has to approach the civil court, not a consumer court. So they have established such things. The complaints can be filed in the consumer courts where the complainants reside or the works, right? The complaint could be filed in the consumer court where sellers is located. So they have provided empowerment to the consumer, right? Earlier, if your seller is in Gujarat and you are living in UP, then you have to go to Gujarat to file a complaint. Now you can file the complaint in the UP itself. And they have set up a separate regulator, have been set up, Central Consumer Protection Authority. E-commerce and all these things have been set up. They have provided the scope of the mediation as well. Okay. Functions of the CCPA, you will see yourself. The rights under the view, if you see new rights, right to protect it against the marketing of the goods and services which are hazardous to the life and property, right to seek the redressal against the unfair restrictive trade policy, right to be informed, right to be assured of the access of the variety of goods and services at the competitive price, right to seek justice in a time-bound manner. So new rights have been included. Okay, new legislation. Next legislation we're going to see is Motor Vehicle Act 2019. We too much talked about act, right? Increased penalty, helmets everywhere. Now you see, if you go in the major cities, you'll see each and every person having a helmet because the fines have increased so much. Mr. Nitin Gadkari has spent a lot of personal capital on this particular issue. Nitin Gadkari, right? Okay, start. The act has amended the Motor Vehicle Act 1988 to provide for the road safety. Which committee has been set up for the road safety? It is the Sundar Committee. Remember, Sundar Committee has been set up. And which declaration? I'll cover somewhere. Brasilia Declaration. Brasilia Declaration, in which India has pledged that we will try to improve our statistics of our road safety. Provision. So they provide compensation for the road accident victims. So they say that there should be compulsory insurance. That act requires the central government to constitute a motor vehicle accident fund to provide compulsory insurance to cover all the road users in India. Okay. It set up a road safety board to advise the government on the road design or the motor vehicle safety. One of the problem of the road accident is not only the lack of the helmets or these habits of the people, but also poor engineering road design, right? So they have committed a road design board. In fact, one of the provisions in the particular act, just remember that the contractor will have the responsibility of the road after after the construction as well, so that there is an integrated way of ensuring the quality of the road so as to maintain the road safety, right? Next point is Good Samaritan. The act defines a Good Samaritan as a person who renders emergency medical assistance to the victim at the scene of the accident. Next, it increases the penalty for several offences. It allows the central government to order for recall of the motor vehicle. Okay, so compulsory insurance that have been set up in offences and the penalty. This much you don't have to remember. How much price have been increased from, for example, this data. You don't have to remember this, right? This data you don't have to remember. How much you have to pay for driving license if you don't have. How much you have to pay for RC if you don't have. You don't have to deal with that. Okay, right? This one is important. So what are the power of the states? Because you have seen many of the states have decided not to comply with the rates that center have proposed. So why? Because the act itself says that the state can fix or notify the exact fine or penalty. The act says that this is the minimum penalty and this is the maximum penalty. So the authority of the state to define the fine in between these two ranges, right? So the states can fix and notify the exact fines and penalty where the act says not more than or not less than, but cannot fix less than the minimum and obviously more than the maximum, right? So states have the right to fix or notify the amount of fine and penalty if the act, even if the act says up to. If the act says up to, state can fix the fine for compoundable offense and all these things. Next is the next act we're going to see is SC/ST Atrocity Act, Scheduled Caste and Tribe Prevention of Atrocity Act 1989, right? So the background is 1955, the Protection of the Civil Rights Act was enacted to protect the fundamental socio-economic, political and civil rights of SC/ST. It was later replaced with this particular act. A specific act has came in 1989. In fact, it is one of the question has been asked in UPSC mains that mention 3 legislations that have been enacted for the protection of scheduled tribes. So one of the the legislation you can say that is Scheduled Caste and Tribe Prevention of Atrocity Act. So what is it? It's an act to prevent the commission of the offence by the atrocity against the SC/ST by the person other than the SC/SC. So the crime committed by people who are not SC/SC, if they commit a crime against the SC/SC, they will be punished under this particular act. Features: it is made in the furtherance of the provision of the Constitution, such as Article 17, that is abolition of untouchability, Article 14, 15, equality. It establishes special court for the trial of offence and for the relief and rehabilitation of the victim of such offences. It authorizes the central government to frame rules for carrying out a purpose for the act. The act lists 22 offences related to the various patterns of behavior. In fact, in 2016, the act was amended. First of all, here see, act is implemented by the respective state governments and the union territories, which are provided due central assistance under the centrally sponsored scheme for effective implementation of the provisions of the act, right? So in 2016, it was amended, and many of the new provisions that have been added to the many of the new atrocities that have been added to the particular act. For example, garlanding with the food fears, addition of the chapter on the rights of victims and the witnesses, defining willful negligence of the public servant, right? This one is important. So if the willful negligence by the public servant is done toward these people, then it also becomes a punishable offense. Okay. Now, why in the news recently? So there was a news in the March 20. On 20 March, a judgment of the Supreme Court has come, where the Supreme Court has said that this act has been misused, and they have diluted some of the provisions of the act. Now, in response to that, a lot of Dalit activists and Dalit people have come on the speech, and the tribals also, that the objective of the act has not been fulfilled. Some of the misuse, minuscule misuse of the act cannot lead to dilution of the act. That was their argument, and central government heed to that argument, and they have proposed amendment. So Supreme Court has made some of the act, some of the provisions of the act as nullified. Then government has come up with some amendments to it, and finally the news says that Supreme Court has upheld those amendments. So Supreme Court has changed its own stance, right? Getting my point? So March 20, there was Supreme Court judgment on this particular act, on a particular case, saying that we were diluting the mother fact because this act has been misused. Now after that, a lot of protest has gone on in the country. So central government has come up with some amendments to make sure that all the provisions are get back to the previous state, right? And Supreme Court has upheld that. Okay, fine. Whatever has been done by the cabinet, we are upholding that. So Supreme Court upheld the amendment made by the government to the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocity Act 1989. These amendments were the bar against the anticipatory bail against the bar against the anticipatory bail against this particular act has been removed, right? So you cannot get the anticipatory bail. Okay. So new as section 18A was inserted, which does away with the requirement of undertaking preliminary inquiry and of procuring prior approval prior to making an arrest. So what Supreme Court must have done? Dilution of the act means you have to make prior inquiries before arrest. So Supreme Court has said, okay, you have to make prior inquiry because this act has been misused. Now they are saying that the government has come up and says, no, you don't have to make the prior inquiry. Arrest has to be made first, right? Amendments are, in the case under the Atrocity Acts, no procedure other than the specified under the CRPC will apply. Supreme Court upheld this amendment, recalling his earlier judgment. So in the Subhash Kashinath Mahajan versus the state of Maharashtra, Supreme Court has diluted the provision. I was telling you March 20. So Supreme Court has diluted many of the provisions of the act, right? Now central government has put amendment and get the act basic on the same footing as it was earlier. This was the 2016 amendment, nothing to discuss here. So dilution of the act, what was the act? So basically this act we have seen. What Supreme Court had said on March 20, it heard a private petition and said that the law has been misused. It banned the arrest under the act without prior and the prior note of the official, right? Prior note of the official. What Dalit activists said that if this prior approval is needed, then these upper caste people, those who make an atrocity on us, they will make a nexus with the officials and our cases will never be registered and we will never get justice. It also held that the court can grant an anticipatory bail in the case of false complaint. Also the case of anticipatory complaint. So these two provisions have been diluted. Now with the amendment, these two have been restored. Okay, Center has filed a review petition and they have brought an amendment to it. So this is the overall timeline. You just read from March 20 to finally August 11. So the Union Cabinet given its note to restore the original provisions of the SC/ST Act. Okay, so many acts were discussed. The last act we're going to discuss, it's a bill, not an act. So Dam Safety Bill 2019. So bill applies to all the specific dams, specified dams, and not a political bill, this technical bill. Bill applies to all the specified dam in the country. At the national level, they will set up a National Dam Safety Authority, will be headed by an officer not below the rank of additional secretary, who will be appointed by the central government. At the state level, there will be state committee on the dam safety by the state governments. Okay. Other provision, the owners of the specified dams are required to provide a dam safety unit in each dam. The bill provides for the offences and the penalty against the violation of its provision. Very easy bill, nothing too much. Some details here you need to remember, some prelims factual detail if it comes. That many maximum dams are in the Maharashtra. Okay, so state-wise breakup, total large dams in India, large dams around 5,700, operational are 5,200 dams are operational, right? And the Maharashtra has the majority number of dams. Then after that Madhya Pradesh, then Gujarat, and like this. The large dam is classified as the one with maximum height of more than 15 meters from its deepest foundation. So if the height is more than 15 meters from the deepest foundation, then it is a large dam. Okay, and we have done the key features of the act. So the Dam Safety Bill envisages the following function, and we have seen that following function, right? Right, so many acts are here covered. So we are finished with our part 2 of our part 3 in fact of our session 4, part 1, part 2 of economy, and part 3 of polity. Next time I'll meet you with the ecology session. I have planned 2 sessions of ecology, so the 2 sessions of ecology we'll do, and with that we'll finish our session 4. Right, see you in the next class. Thank you.